the only qualification to be able to call yourself part of the crypto space and not have people complain is to just like somehow use cryptography and to have some kind of chained data structure somewhere. Like those are literally the qualifications. Like you don't even need decentralization, right? Like I forget, has IOTA even gotten rid of their coordinator yet? I forget now.
No,
right?
the answer is no.
Right. Like XRP, right? Like they're like still completely centralized, and but at the same time they are on CoinMarketCap, and still I think haven't apologized for writing documents into the to the US government, basically saying that they should be favored over Bitcoin and Ethereum because Bitcoin and Ethereum are China controlled. I think that there should be a way to talk about Ethereum that doesn't implicitly, lend credence to the, the Lunas and the XRPs and the IOTAs and the Bitcoin Satoshis visions of the world, but that still does leave room for kind of valuing the good and the honorable things that are happening in other ecosystems.
Welcome back to the Crypto Ski conversation. And as you can see here, this is a video that was posted by Riz XRP, and Moon Limbo had commented saying Vitalik says XRP is centralized. Why? As usual, because reasons. So just a couple things. The whole centralized notion and narrative that he's still continuing to push is definitely false, and who knows why outside of being the co-founder and dev of Ethereum and obviously backing it, that narrative that they keep pushing, it's just ridiculous. Because if you're talking about Ripple the company, that's a total different ball game, however you want to spin that to fit your narrative. But when you're talking about the digital asset XRP and XRPL and stuff, it's just a monotonous argument and narrative to push. Now the whole concept of, writing documentation and writing to the government to select XRP over Bitcoin and Ethereum, that's false as well. It's about, leveling the playing field, and it's about holding, each digital assets to the same standard. If you're going to create, some sort of regulation and guidance or curriculum and standards for people to follow, why are you picking and choosing who can follow what? That's the whole point. So we just want to start with that video here and continue on. XRP Crypto World says Ripple CTO Joel Katz criticized Vitalik Buterin for not understanding or pretending to be ignorant about XRP, and that's literally what I was just saying. It's just like, you stop playing dumb, and you're smarter than that. You're seen as one of the brainchilds or the smart people within the crypto industry, especially for the platform and ecosystem that was built with your hands and brains and shoulder, and others, of course. But it's just crazy, man. As you can see, there's a lot more FUD that's been pushed in that FUD narrative and campaign against Ripple and XRP, and it's just sad. I wanted to put this up from JV because I thought it was quite interesting, and I think he's onto something. He's responding to Mason here, and Mason's a big influencer in the XRP community and crypto community. He says something big is going to be announced in the next coming days for XRP and Ripple. This was hinted by David Schwartz in response to Charles Hoskinson. So JV says, I believe Joe Katz was only telling Charles to chill for a couple of days, regroup his thinking, then look at his tweet again. The worst thing about the XRP community is too many heavily followed accounts cast out constant, mysterious, riddled-filled, speculative messages. Why? And then he comes down here and then he goes, then when nothing happens and their predictions or assumptions or theories doesn't come true, they just simply move on and create another hype tweet about XRP. And he says the crap is ridiculous. And I think he's onto something with that. And I think there's some truth to that. Now, when people want to, speculate on, things that they hear, and it may cause, excitement within the community. I think some of that excitement is okay. But yeah, if it's constant and it's like stemmed from just straight, foolery, then that's the problem. But I think he's onto something, and I think people need to be more aware of that. And I know even on this channel, when I report things, obviously, I don't know all the ins and outs, and I, do it in the sense of just having a conversation, just to spark a conversation just with me alone, as if like you're sitting next to me and we're just talking about crypto and the topics that I'm talking about. But you got to understand, like when you're listening to people like myself, the YouTubers and influencers, like when they, speculate or they talk about news or announcements or whatever the case is, you got to take it with a grain of salt and make sure you do your due diligence and, look further into the topic so you kind of understand what's going on. This from James K. Fallon. This was yesterday. Says Judge Torres issues order on the parties' motions to seal documents in connection with the expert challenges, the Daubert motions. And I I thought I had an update here. This is from XRP Crypto Wolf. He says, for a second there, I thought this was about, he read Judge Torres issued her decision on Ripple winning the XRP lawsuit with a smiley face. So, a little bit of humor and, I guess humor with a little bit of class is all good, when it comes to what we've been dealing with for the past 2 years as, XRP investors and holders, and especially what we've been dealing with, the scrutiny within the markets in general. But James K. Fallon, shout out James K. Fallon for always updating us on the documents that's going on within litigation and keeping us in tune. Jeremy Hogan has something to say here as well in regards of James K. Fallon's tweet here. He says, in the library case, the SEC has filed its opposition to library's motion to limit the SEC's remedies. So he goes, the SEC is amazing. It asks for an injunction against library for future sales, and on the next page argues the court can't rule on the future sales by Amici because they are too speculative. I think the judge is realizing about now that this was never about protecting anyone. And I said, it's clear they don't give AF about protecting those they swore to protect. And that's just straight up and down from what we've been seeing just in the past 2 years alone. Here goes a video from Tony Edwards in regards of, the SEC and our chairman, Gary Gensler, and kind of what's going to happen on a going forward basis. So let's take a listen into him and Congress Bill Huizenga talk about it here.
How are you and your colleagues at the committee going to keep the SEC and Gary Gensler accountable? What are your plans for 2023?
Yeah, well, I can guarantee you that it won't be 14 months between visits. Okay. I mean, that's part of our primary function here in the House of Representatives is to have oversight. The other is to control the purse strings. Now, the SEC and some of these other regulators have some self-funding mechanisms from fines and different things that they deal with. So we're going to have to work through that, but they still come to us with budget requests. We can put things in called enabling legislation or limiting language. Enabling it would mean SEC, you must do X. Limiting language would say, SEC, you may not use this money to do Y. You can use it for other things, but you can't do this certain thing. So that's going to be the primary tool is looking at the oversight side. There is potential for some legislation. We had been getting close on a stable coin. That Patrick McHenry and Maxine Waters had been working on. And frankly, there was some expectation that we were going to be dealing with that this calendar year yet before this Congress is out. Just a reminder to everybody, we get seated for a 2-year Congress. So when this Congress ends on December 31, all the bills that have been introduced go away. All of the legislation that had been proposed no longer exists. And then in January 3, when we get sworn in, we have to start all over again. And that'll go for that 2-year period. So there was a lot of work that had been done on it. There was some, I think, opportunity and optimism that we might be able to at least start down that path of clarity. And then, frankly, FTX happened, and the beginning of November, when that all fell apart, it just sucked all the oxygen out of the room.
So we'll kind of see. It's just going to be a waiting game to kind of see how things unfold here. Obviously, we're getting ready to end the year here and move on into 2023. We'll see. There's a lot of moving parts, a lot of geopolitical things, and I'm trying to get this to be out of the picture, but I wanted to cover this tweet from Brad Gallhouse. It says, he's responding to the Wall Street Journal opinion where it says, for months, Gary Gensler claimed to have authority over crypto and warned about self-dealing at their exchanges. Why didn't he investigate FTX? And then Brad Gallhouse says, this is 100%. So he's talking about the article. It says, it's ridiculous and frankly shameful that Chair Gensler was touting the SEC's enforcement actions on the cop on the beat, yet per public reports, met with Sam Bankman-Fried multiple times, but was caught completely flat-footed when the alleged fraud finally came to light. And then, I mean, if you've been following anything from FTX, Sam Bankman-Fried, the involvement of Chairman Gensler and the SEC, I mean, you know this is plain as day. And it's just a matter of time, a matter of when, he gets his, he gets what's coming to him. And I hope they throw the book at Chairman Gensler, just like I hope they throw the book at Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX and all the parties involved. I mean, there's a lot of investors that got completely decimated by that. So just kind of, like I said earlier, it's just going to be a waiting game to kind of see how things unfold. Who knows? I thought this was interesting. Kevin O'Leary says, I don't know why I ain't been zooming in either. It says money has no gray areas. You either make it or you lose it. And then John Deaton says, sort of like integrity. You either have it or you don't. Ooh, and then Weezy X puts this, ooh. I mean, straight up, don't be out here tweeting like that, right? And not expect people to torture you, especially based off of the, the interviews and the responses you've had to questions as of late, man. It's kind of crazy. This is from Watcher Guru. It says, just in, FTX new management says the company has located over $1 billion in assets, including $720 million in cash. So just some more updates coming from the whole FTX, scandal and Buckle camp. Another one right here from Watcher Guru says FTX is seeking to return the return of charity and political donations that were made on behalf of Sam Bankman-Fried. So if we come over here to the Cointelegraph article, it says, who has returned donations or contributions from FTX amid the firm's reputational risks? It says politicians and news organizations have reportedly planned to return roughly $6.6 million in donations from FTX, a mere fraction of the crypto's exchange's estimated contributions. Yeah, it says Sam Bankman-Fried had been willing to donate between $100 million and $1 billion to lawmakers as part of the elections in 2024. So I don't think there's an exact number as to how much was donated thus far, but definitely 6.6 million. It sounds minute compared to the rest of it. And I think this is intriguing, man, to kind of see, okay, if they do kind of start returning funds, like what's going to surface, like what names and what organizations are going to come to light, or is it going to be all suppressed and redacted and it's not going to be publicly known? Really curious about all that. Here goes another one from Cointelegraph. It says Sam Bankman-Fried signs extradition papers set to return to face charges in the U.S. The FTX founder has reportedly signed on the dotted line, bringing him a step closer to return to U.S. soil. And Eleanor Terry says, breaking, Sam Bankman-Fried has agreed to be extradited to the U.S. and will be arriving either tonight or tomorrow. And she said this yesterday at 2 o'clock. Says two sources have informed Fox News he's expected to be released on bail per preconditions his lawyers made by the SDNY prosecutors in exchange for agreeing to extradition. It says, adding detail here, Bankman-Fried will be arranged at a federal court in Manhattan where he will have a new bail hearing. While multiple sources say he's expected to be released on bail, it will ultimately be up to the judge to decide. And there's an update right here. She says, sources tell, this happened today, says sources tell Fox News that Sam Bankman-Fried now has an extradition hearing in the Bahamas around 11 a.m. tomorrow as a quote-unquote formality before he's handing over to the FBI. The expectation is that he will still appear in Manhattan federal court this week. Lots in flux. And then XRP Crypto Wolf says it's obvious he's going to get treated better here by his friends in the U.S. Than in the Bahamas. That's why he wants to be extradited. I mean, who knows? I mean, quite honestly, I hope, they get all the facts. Hopefully the lawmakers and, rule makers and our legal representation don't drop the ball and, go soft on this guy. There's, thousands and thousands of people that's been affected by what's happened. I mean, look at the markets in general. Hopefully they get all the facts right. They get all the information they need to make a sound and just, decision. I hope he doesn't get bail, to be honest. I think he should sit in jail, personally, in my opinion, until his hearing. But it's going to be quite interesting to see what happens. We're going to continue to follow up what's going on with the Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX stuff. But that's what I have for you. Make sure you come to the Crypto's Key Conversation YouTube channel, subscribe, follow us on Twitter at CryptoIsKey1. I really appreciate you guys' support out there. With all that being said, stay strong out there. Be safe.